I've been playing with the Apple Watch for quite a few days now. It's currently Monday afternoon and I've had it since Friday lunchtime. In that time period, I've discovered quite a few good things about it. There's some things that annoy me, obviously, but the good things at the moment are certainly outweighing the bad things. First of all, let's talk about battery life. This has been seen as a big bugbear for a lot of people since it was first mooted that it only had an 18-hour battery life. Well, as it stands at the moment, I have 25% battery life left on my watch. It's currently about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's just gone 5. I only charged it not this morning, but yesterday morning about 8 o'clock. So it's lasted pretty much 2 days, and in that time period I've used it for satellite navigation twice for 2 hours in total. I've used it to track my movement and my heart rate using the activity monitor, where it's tracking your heart rate all the time. I've used it to set an alarm, and I've used it for voice dictation from a third-party app that didn't work very well, and I've played around on it for messages. I've had text messages and emails and Twitter alerts, all sorts of things. So it more than covers an entire day's worth of use without any problems whatsoever, to the point that I'm not actually worried about charging it too much. One thing I would like though is a display that stays on all the time. If I move it into shots, you'll see it's a black display until I tap it with a power tap, or a force tap as they call it, and that doesn't seem to work until I press a button. It's upside down obviously because it's on my wrist at the moment. The one thing I would note on that is that sometimes when I flick my wrist, most of the time it works, some of the time it doesn't. And to get around that, I think it would be really useful to have a mode where you can actually have the watch appearing on the screen at all times. In a lot of apps, the display has a small time at the top right corner. Because it's no LED display, you could actually have that running in, say, pure green in the small top left corner, so top right corner, all the time, and it wouldn't actually take up too much battery because it would only be very few pixels switched on. Yes, it would take up more battery than it currently does, but it still should be able to get a full day's uses out of it. And even if it hasn't triggered properly when you do your flip of the turn of your hand, if it is that you're just wanting to look at the actual time, you can see the time without actually having to worry at all. So that would be the first thing that I would probably look at if I was in charge of dealing with Apple Watch. That's one of the first things I would change, and I think it'd be really useful as items go. Next thing is I would allow web apps to appear on the Apple Watch. In the same way as the original iPhone actually had sort of built-in support for web apps, where you wrote a meta tag at the top of your web page, and it would then allow the web page to appear full screen and look like a full application, a native application on the iPhone. It's something that's still available even today on iPhone, and I use it a lot in my programming. The Apple Watch programming mentality is actually very similar to what you'd expect from a web-based application, because in the same way as a web page talks to a server-side application, the Apple Watch is talking to the iPhone in exactly the same way. It's being pulled or pushed the information that it needs, and you're asking and requesting information which then is displayed on the screen. So it's the same structure as a program that you would have as a web-based application. It'd be really nice if you could add a meta tag onto a website with, as part of the meta tag, you'd say it's Apple Watch enabled, and then a URL to the Apple Watch page. And that page would have to not include a CSS, so it would automatically use the style of the Apple Watch itself. And then standard items that go into a web form, such as buttons and drop-down lists and things like that, would automatically be rendered in the correct format for the Apple Watch instead. And you could actually therefore install the web app to your iPhone, and it would automatically then install the web watch version, if you like, onto your Apple Watch at the same time. And in the same way as you can remove something from the front screen of your watch now if it's an application, you'll be able to do exactly the same thing with the web-based application. In the same way as a web app, it would only work when you're online, but you could have it so it allows access to the app even when it's only in a Wi-Fi only area, rather than attached to your phone, because it's being able to do communicate with the internet just via the online connection, rather than having to go through your phone if you've got access to Wi-Fi but haven't got your phone to hand. They're the two sort of major things at the moment that I would really like to see. There's a lot more, obviously, improvements can be made to things like Siri. At the moment, the Hey Siri command works sort of a few times out of 10. Sometimes it doesn't work at all, just because you haven't quite caught it at the right moment. So you end up having to do the Hey Siri, Hey Siri, Hey Siri, flicking your wrist each time over and over to get the Siri to actually run as it should do. It's a bit disconcerting, obviously, when you're moving about. You don't have to want to keep pressing the button on the side to call Siri. Screenshots, they're still quite tricky to take. I've tried several times. I've managed to work out how to do it now. If you hold down what becomes the power button or the contact button, just before it then shows the sliders to say power off or move to low power mode, etc., if you then press the digital crown as well and then let go of the crown, then the power button, it takes a screenshot and adds it to your phone automatically, which is quite nice when it works, but it's a bit split-second timing still. I also find that I haven't got particularly big fingers. My fingers are quite thin and scrawny, but even my fingers do struggle sometimes with, if I work out where the camera is on this laptop, my fingers sometimes struggle with the actual getting it exactly the right place for the application that I want. So I end up opening the wrong application, then you have the load time, and then you have to wait for the application to load, close, and then you open a new one. People mentioned how slow the phone is. Actually, I'm finding it quite nice and fast at the moment. I've had a bit of slowdown when using the camera remote, but generally when you're using the watch, it's pretty quick, even if you are using maps and things like that, which are quite graphically intensive. Certainly not so slow you think, oh, it'd have been quicker for me to get my phone out and start doing a search that way, in a lot of the circumstances I've been in so far. Maybe that would be dependent on network settings, etc. So obviously if you're in a GPRS area and you're trying to load something like maps, which is obviously then going via your phone to the internet, it is going to obviously be very, very slow in comparison to being in a 4G area or a 3G area or on Wi-Fi. Other than that, things seem to be going well at the moment, so that's really all I've got to say at the moment. So I'd like to see those two improvements made. That would make the sort of Apple Watch really on parity with the original iPhone straight out the box, having like an always-on display with just a little corner to make it more useful as a watch, plus also having web applications which wouldn't be too difficult to manage, at least I don't think it would. It's almost worth putting together a little application which can then take web apps and display them on the screen. I might have a play with that in Swift in a little while, perhaps. So that's it for now. I'll be doing another video, I'm sure, very, very soon. I hope you're following and finding these interesting. Bye!